Hello there, welcome to Bryan Lomax Movie Talk and my latest Blu-ray update. This is quite a haul, it must be said. Not all in one, to be honest. Yeah, I've had a few splurges, different occasions. Probably spent a bit too much, to be honest, recently on Blu-rays. For various reasons, but I won't go into that. Yeah, so quite a haul, it must be said. Pretty epic, probably the most epic haul I've ever done. So we're going to get into that, but I do just want to first, before I get into that, just give a shout out to a few patrons who recently joined my Patreon page. It's got a couple of $5 patrons and a $10 patron. Yeah. Really great to have them on board. We've got Ernie Ponce, we've got Dennis from the Blue Corner, and most recently we've got Ethan Davidson. Now, one of these Blu-rays that I have here will be his patron request. He's done a patron request, and I will show you that when it comes up. But yeah, looking forward to that. But thank you guys for coming on board and really supporting me. It really does mean a lot. But yeah, excellent. So let's get into this epic haul, shall we? We'll start with the first one, which is Shazam. Yeah, a big DC fan. What can I say? I liked this quite a lot. I'm pretty much going to buy any of the DC movies, to be honest. I didn't like Suicide Squad, but I still bought that. So what can I say? No, it was good. It was good fun. Good fun this was, and I look forward to watching it again. I thought Mark Strong made a particularly good villain in it, and yeah, I liked a particular cameo that happened at the end. So yeah, not much more to say other than that, to be honest. Next one is Star Trek The Next Generation, The Best of Both Worlds. So this is actually a two-part episode that appeared in Star Trek The Next Generation. And what they've done is they've edited it into a movie and, yeah, released it as a movie. I'm not the biggest fan of the series. Like, I do have them, but it's not one of those series that I kind of watch constantly. But this particular episode was, or double episode, was really, it was when the series kind of changed. It was when you started to take it seriously, I think. Yeah, so it was kind of like the first big Borg storyline. I think there was an episode before this, but this is when they finally got to Earth and became an ultimate threat. And if you're a fan of the movie First Contact, you kind of need to see this, really, because First Contact kind of ties into this in a big way. But I like the package, to be honest. It's got a nice little plastic cover with then a slip cover with this like 3D, and it's just nice to have those episodes like that as a movie. And they did win some awards, it's like one of TV Guide's top 100 episodes of all time, and I'd agree with that. If you're looking at TV episodes, that would be in there, that double episode. So yeah, there you go. Next up is Green Book, obviously the winner of the Best Picture at this year's Oscars. Deservedly so, I thought. Of the nominations, that is. Of the nominations, I think I probably would have gone with this. Either this or Black Klansman. I was happy either way if this or Black Klansman got it. Yeah, I know a lot of people were sniffy about it because it's a feel-good film, I guess. I don't know, whatever. Next up is 2010, the year we make contact. Never seen this film. I am a fan of the original 2001 A Space Odyssey, obviously, to which this is a sequel. But I'm also a fan of the director, Peter Hyams, who's made a few really good sci-fi / horror films, like The Relic, one of my favourite horror films, Outland, really great sci-fi film that was released around the same time as Blade Runner, also used some of the sets from Blade Runner. But yeah, he's a very underrated director, I think. And I think anybody who tackles a sequel to 2001 is instantly going to set themselves up to come under flack. So I'm going to go into this with a very open mind. I have heard some people say that it's better than 2001. So I don't know. We'll find out. As a sci-fi fan, I'm looking forward to that one quite a bit. Next up is these are a lot of premium collection stuff here. There's one a bit further down as well. It's just kind of, unless it's up there, no, it's a bit further down. Next up, as a big Frank Capra fan, I thought I'd buy this. This is You Can't Take It With You. Actually won the Best Picture Oscar as well in 1938, I think it was. 1938, and also the Best Director Oscar for Capra himself. Capra is one of my favourite directors. He's made some of my all-time favourite films. It's a Wonderful Life, Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. I love those three films. He also won his film It Happened One Night. He's also one of only 3 films, I think it is, to win the top 5 Oscar categories. I don't think that's changed recently. I don't think it has, but I think it's still one of 3. I've not seen that, actually. I've not seen You Can Take It With You. So You Can't Take It With You, I should say. So I look forward to watching that as a Capra fan. Next up, and this, I got this very cheap. This, again, premium collection, HMV, £2.49. £2.49, that's, Legends of the Fall. I would buy all of the films in the premium collection for £2.49, believe me. But it's a good film. Directed by Edward Zwick, who also made The Last Samurai, one of my favourite films. I've not seen this since I was a teenager, but I remember really loving it when I saw it. Watched it as a family, watched it with my mum and dad and my brothers. I remember the bear attack being quite vicious at the time, towards the end of the film. I don't know if it holds up. Probably doesn't hold up to the level of something like The Revenant or whatever, but yeah, it might look a bit silly now, I don't know, but I'll look forward to giving that a watch again. I am a fan of Ed Zwick. I thought he dropped the ball a little bit with the Jack Reacher sequel, but other than that, and most of his other work, I do tend to really like. Next up is The Shining Extended Edition. To be quite honest, I got this mostly because it was the 2 for $25 on the premium collection, so I kind of needed to make it up. I'm one of those people who's of the mind, I've never really felt compelled to watch this, just because the theatrical edition for me is a perfect film. It's probably my favourite horror film of all time. So the idea of putting an extra 30 minutes onto it has never really grabbed me, just because if it's perfect as it is, you clearly don't need those 30 minutes. But for the sake of, like I say, making up the numbers and intrigue, I guess, I watched The Shining. I reviewed it fairly recently when I did my Kubrick season. There's enough intrigue there for me to want to watch it. So the next time that I go to watch The Shining, I'll stick this one on and see if the extended edition. I do believe, from what I've heard, it does add quite a bit there that changes certain meanings and the way you look at things based, in comparison to the theatrical cut. So I am intrigued by that. Also a bit nervous because, like I say, I love the theatrical cut so much because of my interpretation, because of the way I interpret it, because of what it means to me. So if that meaning or interpretation is going to be changed by adding that extra half hour, I'm not sure I want it, but we'll see. We'll see when we get there. Next up, £1 buy from CX, The Losers. A film that I hated first time I watched it. I did. I thought it was lame. And I don't know why. I must have just been in completely the wrong mood. I watched it again a second time because I had a bunch of guys over and we decided to have a film night, and they kind of picked this. I was like, okay. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a lot on that second watch. I think I have seen it again since then, just to make sure. And I did. I really enjoyed it. I think what's his face? I can't remember the name of the guy. He plays the villain in it anyway. Jason Patrick. I thought he was a little bit over the top in it. A little bit, too hammy, I guess. But other than that, everything else I really loved. Some decent action, some decent characters. Yeah, shame they didn't get a sequel, really. Next up, I got this from Poundland for £2. Dark Tide. Now, it's from the director of Into the Blue, which I'm sure for a lot of people will be a non-event. But I actually think Into the Blue was a really well-directed, water-based movie. I think, you know, as a director, I would imagine it being quite tricky to direct things that are based on water, you know, just there's a lot of logistics that are kind of logistical nightmares involved. But I thought Into the Blue was really underrated. I thought the performances in it as well were very underrated from actors that genuinely or generally aren't really known for giving the most dynamic of performances. I think this director, what's his name, John Stockwell, got some really good performances out of them. So, yeah, he tends to make films based on water, based out at sea. Most of his body of work, to be honest, is based out at sea. So he's clearly got some kind of fascination with the ocean. But I'm willing to give it a go anyway. For £2, I'm willing to give it a go. So, yeah, another one. Again, a few of these actually now from, yeah, a lot of these going on are Poundland pickups. This one is The House of the Devil. I know nothing about this. It's got a lot of good reviews on the front. How well they can be trusted, I don't know. A lot of them are kind of like, you know, DVD Talk, bloodydisgusting.com and all that. So take it with a pinch of salt. But yeah, I read the back. Ty West. I've heard a lot of good things about Ty West, with regard, you know, from horror fans. He's one of the directors that are kind of, yeah, celebrated in more recent years with regards to horror films. So like I say, I don't know anything about this. I picked it up as a blind buy. It looks interesting and it seems to have some pretty good reviews, so we'll go with that. Next up, £2 again, is 300 Rise of an Empire, the sequel to 300. I personally really liked this. I was expecting it to be dire, just because the reviews weren't astounding when it came out. This and the Sin City 2, second Sin City film, they both came out and they were kind of pretty maligned. I liked both of them, to be honest. Yeah, I think if you like that original 300 movie, everything I liked about that original 300 movie, you kind of get with this. I think, what's her name? Eva something or other. Eva Green. I kept on wanting to say Eva Mendes, and I knew that wasn't right. But Eva Green makes a really good villain in it. She's an absolute, yeah, force of nature in film. But don't get me wrong, it's not Citizen Kane, but as far as that kind of film goes, I thought it was really solid stuff. Next up, we've got Tower Block. Again, I've not heard anything about this. I don't know a lot about it. It's got a lot of accolades on the cover and stuff. Empire. Jack O'Connell is excellent. I do like Jack O'Connell, actually. The stuff that I've seen him in, I think he is a really promising actor. Yeah. Like I say, I don't really know much about it. It's one of those films that takes place in a tower block. You know, you think of The Raid, you think of what was that other one with the aliens? I can't remember, but I do have it somewhere. Yeah, just that kind of, when you keep people in one kind of location and then you just let a load of mayhem ensue, it seems like it's going to have that kind of vibe, and I like that kind of movie. So I'll roll with it. Next up, another comic book movie that I feel is really underrated. Really underrated. It doesn't get much love at all, to be honest. I've never understood why. And I'm not a particularly big fan of Seth Rogen. So, yeah, the film is Green Hornet. I really like this. I find it very entertaining. It's got one of my favourite fight scenes in it for humour purposes. Just a really funny fight between the two main characters. But no, I like it. Michel Gondry does a really good job of bringing his typical kind of visual aesthetic to it, you know, making it really interesting. Yeah, never got the hate for this film. I really like it. I think it's very underrated. Next up, Another Best Picture winner at the Oscars, it's Million Dollar Baby, directed by Clint Eastwood, who is one of my favourite directors. Yeah, worthy winner, I would say. Great performance from Hilary Swank. A really kind of downbeat ending. Yeah, quite a... You're not expecting it to go there at all. It's a boxing movie, and then suddenly, we have that ending. But it forces you to confront certain questions, about life and death and this, that, and the other. They're not comfortable questions to ask. Certainly not comfortable questions to answer. So yeah, another one, Victor Frankenstein. Not a brilliant film, but certainly not a bad one. It was quite an entertaining ride. I like the chemistry between McAvoy and Radcliffe. I thought they did a good job on screen together, and I thought it was a pretty original take, decent take on the Victor Frankenstein story. I'll quite happily give it a watch again. Paul McGuigan, I think, is a good director, and the screenplay by Max Landis is pretty decent. Now, how much of it resembles his original screenplay, I don't know, because he has often been kind of heard, saying that Hollywood does have a tendency to completely, botch his scripts. So he says, I don't know if that's just an excuse or what, but there you go. Next up, another film that has been terribly, terribly reviewed. I've never seen it, so the reviews could definitely be true, but I'm a big Ridley Scott fan, and that film is The Counselor. I'm not expecting good things because, like I say, pretty much across the board, the reviews were terrible for it. This is an extended cut. Ridley Scott does have a tendency for doing pretty decent extended cuts, although, again, like I say, if the film was pretty terrible to begin with, then it might not improve matters. It's written by Cormac McCarthy, who, responsible, certainly for the books, that is, of like the likes of No Country for Old Men, films like that. So, yeah, when you look at the talent involved, this should be an excellent film. So those reviews make me nervous, but I've pretty much seen everything Ridley Scott's done except for that and 1492 Conquest of Paradise, which I do own and will get around to watching at some point. So, next up is Run All Night, the typical modern day Liam Neeson fare. He's an older man who gets into stuff and has to kind of beat his way and shoot his way out of it. You know what you're getting. It's from the same director, Jamais Collet Serra. I don't know how you pronounce that. Same guy who's done most of those Liam Neeson flicks. I like it. It's kind of dumb action fun, which you can stick on when you don't want to think too much. Next up is, which I think personally is Neil Blomkamp's best film so far, Elysium. I know most people say District 9. I'm not as big on that film as most people. I preferred this, to be honest. Good, solid stuff. It's got the same kind of social commentary about class that District 9 had. Maybe a bit more on the nose than District 9, but I prefer the characters. I warm to them a bit more. There's a bit more humanity in there, obviously, because it's not about aliens. I liked it. I think it's his best. Next up, another quite underrated film for me is Safehouse. Stars Ryan Reynolds and Denzel Washington, but also one of my favourite actors, which is Brendan Gleeson, who I will watch in anything. A really good, solid film. I think this is directed by Daniel Espinosa, who I believe is also responsible for the rather underrated Life. Yes, he is. So he directed Life as well. So pretty good director, I think, on the whole, for me personally. I think his material has not been given the amount of praise that it deserves, I don't think, because he's made two pretty solid films there. Next up, one of the better horror films of recent years, Don't Breathe, directed by Fede Alvarez. I have done a video essay on this film, actually, over on my other channel, The Movie Evangelist. So if you go over to The Movie Evangelist and look for my video on Don't Breathe, you will find out some deeper thoughts on the film and what I think it's really all about. what's going on under the surface, so to speak. But no, it's a good film. Like I say, it's one of the better. It's probably in my top 10 horror films of the last, certainly the last 10 years. Yeah. Next up, one of my all-time favourite movies. When I heard they were releasing a special edition from Second Sight on this, I pretty much pre-ordered it, which I rarely do, to be honest. I'm not that guy who kind of pre-orders Blu-rays or anything. I just, if it's there in the shop when it comes out, I'll get it. But this, I had to pre-order it. Like I say, one of my favourite films, and that is In Bruges. Love this film. This is another film, actually, that I've done an essay recently over on my Movie Evangelist channel. Yeah, again, it's rich. You know, it's written and directed by Martin McDonagh. So if he's writing and directing, you can guarantee you're going to get a lot to think about. He has a tendency to make these films where on the surface they could seem quite offensive. They go for the jugular quite a lot. There's a lot of dark humour in there. But I think you can let that stop you from seeing the real depth that is going on underneath. And this film is certainly no different. Still his best work for me. You know, he got a lot of Oscar buzz for 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Deservedly so. But I just love this film so much. It's still my favourite. So yeah, if you want to go a little bit deeper in that film, again, head on over to my Movie Evangelist channel and check out the essay I did for that. Next up, I got this for $2.99 with any purchase. It's my second favourite Star Trek film, and it is Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. This is the director's cut. Never seen the director's cut, so really intrigued by that. Nicholas Meyer, he also made Undiscovered Country. Two of the best Star Trek films, really. Yeah, this was brilliant. Until that first Abrams film, this pretty much held the crown for best Star Trek in my book. So yeah, look forward to seeing that. Next up, the brother of Martin McDonagh, John Michael McDonagh, made this film called War and Everyone. It is the lesser of his 3 films. He also made Calvary, which is an astounding piece of work, one of my favourite movies of all time, and The Guard, which again is an astounding piece of work. I've only seen it once. I think I have to watch it again just to really see if it will go into that greatest movies of all time kind of category. This one won't, I don't think. It's good. It's a good laugh. There is some stuff going on underneath, but it's a little bit off in places. I think it's not quite up to par with like I say, his other 2 films. But by any other writer director's standards, this would certainly make a great debut. It's not his debut, but it would make a great debut. You know, if you think any new director coming on the scene, if they came out with that, you think, wow, this is one to watch. But knowing what he did before it, it's like, bit of a disappointment. But yeah, it's really great. If you like, again, dark humour, very dark humour in this case, in which we follow characters that are somewhat less than heroic, then that's the film for you, maybe. With sticking with McDonagh again, yeah. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I've been waiting for this to come down in price for a while. I rarely buy Blu-rays at top price these days. There's just no point. You wait 3 months to go down in price. This has been taking a while, a bit longer than the usual, probably because of all the Oscar attention it got. But yeah, it finally went in the 2 for $13, so I snapped it up. 3 Billboards, brilliant performances from those 3 leads. Just, yeah, brilliantly written and directed. It's heartfelt, it's funny, it's dark, it's everything. It's just, yeah, such a great film. Love it. Again, still not McDonagh's best though. That for me goes to In Bruges. But that's just, yeah, there's no slant on 3 Billboards, which is still pretty much a 5-star film. Yeah, I just love In Bruges that much. Next up is a film I've not seen, which is Wildlife. Again, I had to, because it was the 2 for $13, I had to make it up. And I just saw this. You know, it's filled with great reviews on the front, you know, loads of 4-star reviews from pretty respectable publications. Empire, Total Film, the Times, Telegraph and all them lot. So Financial Times, yeah. It's got a cast which I absolutely love. Jake Gyllenhaal, Kerry Mulligan. So yeah, I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal is pretty much, he's one of the top 5 actors working today, I would say. If I made a list, he would be in it for sure. So I will watch anything with him in. He usually makes pretty decent choices. I've never heard of this. Never heard of it. Literally, I was browsing in HMV. And that's what I love about physical media. It's what I love about being able to go to a place like HMV or CEX or whatever and just browse. And you find stuff like this that you've never even heard of that has really high profile talent involved. It's just, that's it. It's one of the things I just don't like about online shopping. I get it, it's cheaper, you can get things at the touch of a button, but you have to know what it is you want in order to get it. You occasionally might get an email about something that, oh, I didn't realise that was out, I'll get that. But I just don't think you can replace that experience of physical media, of going out to a shop and just spending an afternoon browsing, finding some classics, finding some stuff you've never heard of before. Yeah, I love it. I wouldn't have that if it wasn't, I still wouldn't even know it exists if I didn't get to go to HMV and have a browse. So yeah, anyway, that's my rant on that front. But physical media, that's what it's all about. Next up, we've got Star Trek First Contact. Yes, you'd think I would have grouped the Star Trek Blu-rays together, wouldn't you? But yeah, I've just kind of pretty much made a pile down here. But yeah, it's top tier basically. When you look at Star Trek movies, this, Wrath of Khan, Abrams' first movie, they're pretty much the top 3 for me. This is definitely the best of the Next Generation crew stuff. Good villain, good action sequences, good character stuff. I love all the kind of nods to Moby Dick and seeing Picard as Ahab and all that. It's some good psychological profiling stuff going there. Yeah, really love it. Solid stuff. Even if you're not a Star Trek fan, I think you might get something out of it, But yeah, there you go. Next up, a film that I thought was very underrated. I think they gave far too much away in the trailer, to be honest, annoyingly. But even so, when I watched the film, it connected with me on an emotional level. And that is Allied. I think Robert Zemeckis does a really good job. He's definitely one of the best directors that are out there. He always makes pretty solid work. And this is no exception. I thought the period detail was immaculate, really beautiful. Even when there's carnage going on, it's still shot in such a beautiful way. And some great performances by Cotillard and Brad Pitt. So yeah, look forward to giving that another watch. It's the kind of film that I would imagine my dad having really enjoyed if he was still with us. I mean, my dad died a couple of years ago, but occasionally when I'm watching films, I still get that flash where as I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, my dad would love this. And that's one of those films. When I saw Allied, I was halfway through it and I'm like, my dad would love this. This would be right up his street. It'd be the kind of film that he'd watch again and again and probably annoy us to bits with it. But yeah, he used to do that. He'd get a film and just that'd be it. He'd have a bee in his bonnet and he'd watch it again and again and again until everybody got sick of it. But next up, Batman versus... Oh, I can hear something rattling around in there. Oh, that doesn't sound good. Oh, I hate that when a little bit of plastic breaks inside. Anyway, Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I do collect all of these DC animated movies. This isn't a DC Universe one, it's just a DC animated movie. So it doesn't, it doesn't take place within continuity or anything. But yeah, I gotta say, I like the cover, but I don't like the look of it. I mean, the picture on the back looks like what the animation is probably going to look like in the film itself. Can't say I'm overly keen on the design work of Batman there, but we'll see. I've heard some good things about it, but we'll see. Next up, Still my favourite film of this year so far, Avengers Endgame. That might all change when the Joker comes out, because quite frankly that film just looks so good. I'm so excited for the Joker. But yeah, this is the one to beat at the moment for 2019. Just brilliantly handled. Getting all those characters in the mix. It could have just come off the rails, but the Russo brothers just, yeah, they nail it. There's a couple of characters who get shortchanged. You know, Thor, he's turned into a bit of a joke. Hulk doesn't even get to be Hulk, really. I could understand being fans of those characters and being really pissed off. But, you know, I get it. I get why they take their two most powerful characters and they have to bring them down a bit, because, yeah. It's you've got to, haven't you? Simply because the fight would be over a lot sooner. It's just, yeah, certain things you got to do. I get it. I don't like it necessarily, but I get it. I get why they have to do it. Either way, with all the balls they had to juggle to make that film work, I think they do a really impressive job. Next up, Deadpool 2. Really love this. I love the first one as well. Very irreverent, very... Yeah, it doesn't care who it offends, really. So if you're not the kind of person who can watch that kind of stuff, it's definitely not for you. But no, I like Deadpool, both movies, and I thought he's had a really good year actually, hasn't he? What's his face? Thanos. Can't remember his name right now. It's gone, completely escaped me. I can't see it on the back. Let's have a look. That's bugging me. It's really bugging me. Josh Brolin. Yeah, he's had a really good year. In fact, was that this year? It was last year, wasn't it? 2018. Either way, in 2018 he had a good year because Infinity War was out as well. So yeah, Josh Brolin doing really good in the superhero comic book movie kind of genre. Next up, I bought this from a charity shop for $1.75, and it is The Box. Quite possibly one of the most underrated films of all time. It's written and directed by Richard Kelly, who made Donnie Darko, which is one of my favourite movies of all time. He took a bit of a dip critically with Southland Tales, which I still think has value, to be honest. And I think by the time we got to this third film, people had lost interest, which is a real shame. Because if you've not seen The Box, check it out. It's a really, really good sci-fi / horror movie. I like it. I really do like it. Cannot sell that enough. It's not been seen enough by people, I don't think. So yeah, next up, to go with my 300 Rise of an Empire Blu-ray, I picked up 300 on Blu-ray. I do have it on DVD. I figured, you know, while I bought the sequel on Blu-ray, I may as well get the original for £1. Yep. Next up, again, like I say, Black Klansman. If this had won Best Picture, I'd have been very, very happy. If I was torn between Black Klansman and Green Book, I probably would go with Black Klansman, if I'm being perfectly honest. But like I say, Green Book was a worthy winner as far as I was concerned. Just Black Klansman, really great film. Probably my favourite Spike Lee film, actually. A lot of people kind of dismissed the ending. They thought it was too on the nose with Trump bashing and that, and I just didn't. I thought it was relevant. Yeah, it didn't bother me. To be honest, I saw the film before I heard the people moaning about the ending, and it didn't register with me in that regard. So I think people were making a meal out of nothing, really. Next up, another of Jack O'Connell's performances. This is directed by David Mackenzie, who made Hell or High Water, which is a really great film. Starred Up. It has received a lot of real critical praise. I know Jack O'Connell got a lot of critical praise for his performance in this. I've not seen it, so I look forward to watching it. Like I say, I was a really big fan of Hell or High Water, so David Mackenzie is one to watch for me. I did see a film of his years ago. I think he made it with Ewan McGregor, called Young Adam, and I wasn't that impressed then. So he seems to have had a bit of a resurgence in recent years with his career. He seems to be making quality materials. So yeah. Next up, we have got Dead Man Down. So this is directed by the guy who did Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, I believe. Yes, Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. It does star the girl with a dragon tattoo herself. What's her face? Noomi Rapace. It got mixed reviews, I think, when it came out. But I love Colin Farrell. I love Noomi Rapace, and I love what the director did with Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. So yeah, for £1. I'm there, yeah. Next up, this is going to be a patron requested review. So I bought this because one of the patrons I mentioned at the beginning of this video, Ethan Davidson, he became a patron and he requested this particular film for me to review. I have seen it once before on a fairly dodgy copy. Because it wasn't like a nice clean transfer or anything. It wasn't a dodgy copy in a pirate sense. It was just like one of them horrible transfers. So, but yeah, I bought this premium edition, really cleaned up edition. So I look forward to watching that and bringing you a review of it sometime soon. Next up is Batman Hush. I have watched this since buying it. I thought it was good. I thought it was very good, but I hated what they did with Bane. Really hated what they did with Bane. Bane did not need to be in this movie. They put him in there just for the recognition, but they used him the way you would use a character like Amygdala or Solomon Grundy or someone like that. Yeah, really annoyed me. One of my favourite villains, and he always gets mistreated. He just, yeah. When you look at his origin story and the first big story he was part of, Nightfall, he was clearly revealed as not just a physical match to Batman, but one of his most, mentally challenging foes. You know, one of his smartest foes to go up against. He was a strategist, a very good strategist. So it annoys me to see the way in recent years they've dumbed him down and they've done stuff with him that's just for the sake of having him in a film or in a comic book story. And it just annoys me. It really annoys me because he's a great character when done right. Other than that, I thought they did a pretty good job of adapting the story, but in a way that really does change it and mainly focuses on the romance angle between Batman and Selina Kyle, which ain't as bad as it sounds. You know, you say romance and all that, it's like, really? But no, it's good. It's quite character driven. It does kind of look at those two characters and their opposites and their similarities and things. So I liked it. It was a good, solid film. It lost a lot of brownie points just because of their treatment of Bane. Finally, last one. I didn't pay for this. My brother gave it me because bizarrely he had 2 copies. And that is Insidious, directed by James Wan, written by Lee Wannell. I've seen half of one of these movies, but I think it was the 4th one. Was it The Last Key or something like that? I didn't really have a clue what was going on with regards to the characters, because clearly, a lot of the stuff that was going on with the characters, between the characters, fed out of the 3 films that came before it. So I just stopped watching it, to be honest. James Wan's pretty reliable, I think, as a director. He scared the crap out of me with The Conjuring, so we'll see how that fares. But there you go. That is my most epic of Blu-ray hauls. I don't normally buy that many Blu-rays at once. Like I say, I think that was about 3 different trips, but fairly recently. So there you go. A lot of Blu-rays there. What do you think about some of those pickups? Have I made some good choices or some diabolical ones? Leave your comments below. Thanks for watching this video, especially if you've gotten this far. And until next time, crack in.